The Rotary Foundation has generously sponsored the creation of this tape through a Children's Opportunity Grant. If you would like to hand out this tape, you may make copies yourself or order them at this website. Would you like to improve a child's future? Communication is so important to the success of an individual and a community. When you work to build a 2- or 3-year-old child's communication skills today, you are building a better tomorrow. All you need is your enthusiasm, combined with this short tape, to bring Hear and Say reading to your community. It's simple. Anyone can do it. Parents, grandparents, child care workers, or caring volunteers can help children learn. Keep in mind that the greatest benefit comes from daily reading. Children are never too young or too old for books and reading. Two- and 3-year-olds are hungry to learn. They learn by watching and talking with others. It's the perfect age to teach language skills and to make reading fun. Hear and Say reading helps adults and children create stories together. Before we start, here are some helpful hints. Choose storybooks that have interesting pictures. Save rhyme and word books for another time, since they don't work very well with this program. Remember, it's perfectly normal for children to have favorite books they read over and over. This video teaches the Hear and Say reading method. The tips in Part 1 encourage your child to name pictures and talk about the story. In Part 2, children talk more. This lets them practice and strengthen their language skills. Since Part 2 builds on Part 1, it's important to allow time in between to build these skills. We recommend that you practice for 2 or 3 weeks before moving on to Part 2. Let's compare two reading styles.
Squirrel got a big Valentine in the mail. It said, "Dear Squirrel, Happy Valentine's Day."
In this example, the child is read to, not reading. He spoke very little, and the parent did the storytelling.
They're girls.
They're little girls, and what is that one?
That's a big boy.
That's a big boy.
In this case, the parent encouraged her child to join in. This is the Hear and Say method. You want to encourage your child to name pictures in the storybook and to say something further about them. These are what questions. What questions encourage your child to speak? What questions improve language skills? Listen to these what questions.
What's that? In his birthday hat. Look at that. What's that? A tree. And what's that? A house.
What questions are more effective than asking your child to point, since pointing does not require any talking from your child? Watch the difference in these examples.
Happy? Does he look happy? Yeah. Is it an animal? What kind of animal is it? Is it green?
Remember, you can point, just don't ask your child to point to objects. Encourage them to speak. As you can see, what questions encourage your child to talk, more than pointing or yes or no questions. When your child answers the first what question, build on it with more questions about the picture. Ask a question about its shape, its color, or its parts. Any question that asks about the picture is good. Here are some examples of parents asking their children questions after the child has labeled the picture.
School bus? Who goes in a school bus every day? Andy, your brother.
In his birthday hat. Yep, his birthday hat. Have you had a birthday? Yep.
Repeat what your child says. This provides encouragement and lets your child know when he or she is correct.
Bugs everywhere.
Bugs are everywhere. This little sign says ant farm, and somebody must have dropped the ant farm, and there are bugs everywhere.
Sometimes your child will not be able to answer your question. This gives you a chance to teach your child a new word or answer. Often your child will repeat what you have just said.
What does he have all over his body? They look like tattoos. Do you think they are? Or stamps?
Praise and encourage your child. There are many different ways to provide feedback and praise when your child says something about the book.
Can you see school bus?
Yeah.
That? What is that? Is that a?
School bus.
Yay! That was good.
Dad.
School bus. And who is that?
Dad.
That's the driver. Can you say driver? Driver. Good job.
At this age, it is not important to read all of the words or talk about every picture on the page. Follow your child's interest. Children learn very quickly when they are learning about the things that they like. When your child points to a picture or begins to talk about part of a page, follow their interest, as these parents do.
What's her name?
What do you think her name is?
House.
Big houses or small houses?
Big house.
Big houses.
Oh no, look.
Oh, what happened? What happened?
Look. It broke.
It broke?
Yeah.
What broke?
The house broke.
The most important thing to remember is to make reading fun for you and your child. Children enjoy talking about what they see in picture books. Try making it a game by taking turns reading. If your child seems to be getting tired, read a few pages without questions, or take a break from story time. Here are the important things to remember. Ask lots of what questions. Follow up your child's words with more questions about the picture, such as color, shape, or use. Repeat what your child says to let them know when they are right. When your child doesn't have an answer, give one, and let him or her repeat it. Praise and encourage your child. Talk about things your child is interested in. You don't need to read all of the words in the book. Have fun. This ends part 1 of this video. Practice with your child for at least 2 weeks. Try to read 5 to 10 minutes every day if you can. Then move on to part 2. Keep reading and have fun. Welcome to part 2 of Hear and Say Reading. During the past 2 weeks, you and your child have practiced the tips taught in part 1. By now, your child is naming pictures during story time and answering questions about these pictures. Let's learn to build on those skills. By asking your child general questions about the pictures, you encourage description and longer phrases. Ask your child to pick something on the page and tell you about it. Use questions such as, "What do you see on the page?" or "Tell me what's going on here." Listen to these open-ended questions.
What's going on here?
A man. A man. A man.
How do you suppose they're making that man?
Open-ended questions are more difficult than what questions. At first, your child may be able to say very little when asked an open-ended question. Encourage any attempt your child makes to answer.
What's that? A book. And look, some sunglasses.
When your child runs out of things to say about a page, add one more piece of information. After your child gets used to answering this type of question, they may be able to answer 2 or 3 more questions about what is in the picture. When the child tells you something about a page, praise him or her and then ask, "What else do you see?" or "What else can you tell me?"
Dog.
A dog. What else do you see, Sean?
Slightly more advanced language can be encouraged by repeating what your child says and adding to it. 1 or 2 words are enough. For example, if your child says wagon, You might say, yes, a red wagon.
Can you say writing on the table?
Why want it?
On the table?
Yeah.
Can you say on the table?
Table.
So Buzz is writing on the table.
Look.
Ooh, what is this?
Talking.
Big pumpkin. Where is this? You think he's outside?
Yeah.
In the park?
It's important to add only a little information at a time, so your child can imitate you. Hearing such examples many times, your child will begin to use longer phrases, especially if your child repeats what you say.
Now, Squirrel was running to the attic for his twinkle lights. Wonder what he's going to do with his twinkle lights.
Turn on.
He's going to turn them on.
Keep reading fun for you and your child. The more you can keep story time fun, the more your child will read, now and when he or she is older. Remember, some days your child may want to do most of the talking. Other days, you might spend more time reading the story. Let's review the important things you have learned about hear and say reading. Ask open-ended questions. Open-ended questions may be difficult at first, so encourage any attempt your child makes to answer. Follow open-ended questions by asking, "What else can you tell me?" or "What else do you see?" Help your child repeat you while adding new words. Provide examples of a slightly longer sentence. Have fun. Remember to practice using the tip sheet included with this tape. To learn more about books and reading, visit the children's section of your local library. You can give your child a better future through the gift of reading. These simple steps are all that you need, as long as you remember to keep reading time fun.